Get it.
We understand certainly that you and Will will both be balancing. I'm sure you've leaned on Dan a bit in terms of the logistics, but take us into what that actually looks like, Tosh, because like when Dan did it 4 years ago, he had the benefit of late nights with a time zone. You don't. So like, are you conducting job interviews at like 5 a.m. and 10 p.m. and because you couldn't do it on the plane to Hawaii? So like, what is this actually looking like?
Yeah, it just gets later. So, but I think what's really important is devoting the proper time and commitment to a really good opponent and making sure you commit to that and not interrupt that. And then, and then you separate yourself when you feel like you've accomplished your duties for the day, that and this opponent is demanding a lot of respect from us. They do a really good job. So not going to cut that short of any focus or attention to detail there. Just had a great practice. And that's the approach. So I mean, ultimately, I even get to the point, James, where when we're doing our game plan, I'll put my phone in the cabinet, and my wife knows if there's any emergency to let Cody or Matt know, and I think that's the only way to do it, and just lock in and focus. And then when we feel like we've got to the point where we get to the position meetings at night and we've wrapped some things up and debrief the practice, then of course there's been some late nights, no doubt.
Thank you, Eric.
Gosh, yesterday we talked to Will and kind of asked him what went behind the decision to stay on through the duration. So I'll just ask you the same thing. Why was it important for you to stay here through the playoff run?
Yeah, I made it clear because of this team, because of this university, the elite players I've been fortunate to coach and be a part of the staff. This is this was one of a few opportunities this go around, and I made it clear on every one of those Thursday night interviews that I will not participate or even consider the job without finishing through our season. So ultimately, that was a bit of a deal breaker for another place, and that's fine. I respect their process, but that was very clear. You know, People have asked me as well with Coach Lanning, how that went about or how that conversation was, and I honestly don't even think we had a single conversation, and it was just a realized expectation of exactly what would be asked of me and what I would want to do. So I made it very clear over my dead body, would I ever leave the individuals here, that one, they have put myself and my family in this position, and two, I'm not I want to finish what we started here. This is been an amazing year to be a part of, in this group, what they've accomplished and how they've played as a whole team. But certainly for myself on the defensive side of the ball, it's something that we're all really proud of. And, we got a really cool opportunity here to keep it rolling.
Right here on the right, Zach.
I'm sure even before you accepted the job, you were very excited to play inside Autzen one more time. Has that elevated at all, increased at all, knowing this will be your last time coaching inside Autzen?
No, it hasn't. This has been an awesome experience, amazing place. We've had an amazing 4 years here, and truly the outside elements have nothing to do with it for me. So whether we're playing in a backyard or in Autzen, we're going to approach it the exact same, prepare the exact same, and try to compete to a high standard.
Fourth row, Matt, on the left.
When you came here, Oregon was traditionally known as an offensive school.
That's right.
I think you've changed that narrative.
I agree.
What do you feel like your legacy, what do you want to be known for of your time here? Because you've made a pretty substantial impact of how Oregon is viewed.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Well, first off, it's not me making this substantial impact. It's us, supported by an amazing staff. Fortunately, now the way we work in recruiting and the way our talent acquisition has increased and improved, that all goes into it. So it's because of the players I'm blessed to coach, because of the leadership under Coach Lanning and Phil Knight and Rob Mullins that's put us in this position, quite frankly. So moving forward, absolutely. I think there's a standard that's been set here, that we've changed that narrative. As you mentioned, I agree with you, what this place is kind of known for maybe, 2 decades or so. We're really proud of that, to how we finished and relinquished the least amount of points since 1966 and where our defense has grown to. That was the goal ultimately, and we knew coming into this thing how much work, it would require. And again, when you're blessed to coach the young men that I get to here, it makes it a whole lot of fun.
In the middle, Tyson.
How different is it where at the end of at the end of Alabama, you were on the staff of somebody who was the most accomplished coach in all of college football, and then you come a little bit later to Oregon for a guy who's just kind of starting his story as a head coach. What were the differences for you in between working for a guy just starting versus a guy finishing up, and what did you kind of learn from Dan over your 4 years?
Yeah, it's a great question. To answer your original question, it's I think this profession a lot to do with is who you believe in, and ultimately I believe in Dan Lanning, so Dan Lanning, we had a good relationship. Dan was my GA at Alabama, and it was very evident. His drive, his meant, the ball coach that he was going to become and what he is today, the search for growth, to constant improve. And so there was a reason when I went off to the NFL, we stayed in close contact, and constantly did Zooms and bounced ideas off of each other. And then when that moment occurred, it was something I believed in, so I think a lot of it is just rolling with the people you believe in ultimately. And that's extremely important. So when you believe in someone, like I do with Coach Lanning, and he believed in me, we knew regardless of how much work it was going to take, or, some of these stats were literally in the 127th as far as defense. And, it was about rolling our sleeves up, going on the attack and making this better every day. And here we are. So, what was really evident and impressive to me coming aboard was how much he had advanced from an offensive knowledge standpoint and special teams, just like he does here. He oversees special teams, offense and defense. So that was something evident in year one of, this is something I want to improve on. I want to just not just necessarily see it from a defensive perspective. So 4 years later here, ultimately, I've gained a lot of confidence in those categories as well. And still to this day, don't have all the answers. And that's why I love this profession so much, in all those categories. But how we interact with our offense, myself, Will Stein would constantly cross over, be in each other's offices. We'd see some concepts, say, man, this is like an issue right here. I've been spending 30 minutes on trying to figure out the answer to this, or how we pattern match this bunch route or whatever it be. So, and Will doing the same thing, so I think that's what ultimately this environment's all about, this culture is all about, and some I'm really fortunate to be a part of.
Back right, Aaron.
James Madison just has a really impressive run game. Now that you got a chance to look at the film, dive deep into it, just what makes their run game so hard to stop? And given the weather conditions on Saturday, what role will stopping the run play in the success?
Yeah, great question. Well, it starts with Wayne Knight and Alonzo Barnett, number 3 and number 14. They are legitimate. Wayne Knight is an NFL player, a running back. He could play at any conference, at any team. I can promise you that. And the quarterback's the Sun Belt Conference Player of the Year for a reason. He's thrown for 4 touchdowns in a game. He's rushed for 4 touchdowns in a game. And then it's complemented by a really good scheme. It reminds me when we game plan an opponent, we look at early what their identity is, and that's one of our goals, is to take away their identity, what they do best. So when you look at a team, you want to defeat the run, okay, and then you dive into the things. They have split zone and zone scheme, inside hat, counter GT. They run with the quarterback. They give you a lot of variety, very similar to our offense. They're multiple, and they've got good players there ultimately. So I think what's critical is when you start to hang your hat on stopping one thing, they can hurt you another way. So just the attention to detail has been huge on our fundamentals and technique. Being elite, taking aggressive angles in the tackling approach is going to be very important in this game. Our goal of generating takeaways, as we did these in Seattle, ultimately helping for our success. So, but this is a team. I mean, you could load up the box and try to stop the run. It's a quarterback that's he'll have some NFL opportunities. He's ran a 21.5 on his catapult MPH, and he can hurt you with his legs, and he can throw the ball well.
Back left, Olivia.
It's no secret that the stakes of this game are higher than a regular season game. As a coach, how are you approaching that with the defense? Are you acknowledging the stakes of this game and using them as a motivating factor, or kind of ignoring them and putting emphasis on consistency?
Yeah, I think it's extremely important to just focus mainly on the execution, and not on the emotion. So we know those emotions will be high. So it's also being able to recognize that and accept that. There's nothing wrong with that. But the more we focus on the end result, we're taking away from something we can improve on right now, and that's really the goal. So I think the first thing is this opponent that we haven't been familiar with. So early on is showing them this is a real team, this is a real opponent. They're here for a reason. It does not take too long to prove that, based off of their explosives, being the number one rushing offense in their conference, number six rushing offense in the country, the players that we've highlighted and showed. So I don't think there's a big buy-in as far as, trying to convince these guys, but more so just directing the focus on what we need to do to go win, and that's what we just did for two hours or so out there on the field, how these morning meetings start, how our walkthrough went. That's what I'm constantly challenging them this week is, supposedly where we are from a statistic standpoint, defense, where we are in the nation, how's the best defense operate? How do they do a walkthrough? How do they do a meeting? What's their approach? How do we transition on the field, going in and out, and how do we substitute? Every single detail, putting the focus towards that.
Josh, we're going to go to Zoom. Aaron, your question?
Hi, Coach. Curious, given your history as a recruiter and talent evaluator, have you been at all impressed with how James Madison has rebuilt its roster after losing 13 players? Indiana when Signetti left, they got FCS kids, Division II kids, Power Four kids transferring down to get to this position.
Yeah, of course. Very much so. I mean, they've done a great job there. There's a reason they're in the position they are. So absolutely, I think there's probably some history and culture there to recognize as well. When you watch the TV copies, I mean, it's a sold out stadium. They're fired up, rocking in there. Obviously, the success of who was there before them and moving on and having the success he has. So I think it's important to recognize the culture that's been established there and embraced, and they've done a great job.
Staying with Zoom, Adam.
Yeah, Tosh, I know when you were at Alabama, there were a number of coordinators that were in your position that got a job, ahead of the playoff. I'm wondering how you've kind of looked at that experience, or did you ever wonder what it's actually like to do both at once back then? That obviously now you're in that position.
Yeah, I think it's been fortunate and advantage to go through that a little bit, and see how Kirby Smart operated, at that time, Jeremy Pruitt, and then being involved with this process with Dan Lanning. So hopefully, I've been able to benefit, and again, just try to balance as best as possible, and put the commitment, at the right time, So once again, all attention to detail and focus, giving these players and this organization everything I got, in the approach, and then having a few energy drinks and a coffee at night, resetting, and getting involved. I had a long, thorough Zoom last night with the academic department, checking up on all our academics and making sure we're being accountable, at the other place, before their opportunity to go with Coach Rolovich over there to Hawaii. So, that's the approach. I'm gonna do it as best as possible, and we'll see how it goes.
Staying with Zoom, Tommy.
Tosh, what do you see with Nick DeGennaro and Landon Ellis on JMU? Each of them are over 6 feet, and they're the two leading receivers on JMU's team.
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, what do you see with Nick DeGennaro and Landon Ellis for JMU, the two wide receivers?
Yeah, I think there's 13, 0, 10, and 11 that jump out. And they all got different skill sets. There's an individual that's got the longest average depth of target, double move guy, love run downfield shots. It's a big part of their offense. The slots of 0 and 10, they're elusive, shifty, do a great job. So again, that's what I mentioned earlier is, you could have the approach of we got to go stop this run and do it and load the box and as soon as you start to do that, this is an advanced system. They know exactly how to deal with it. Like I said, it's very similar to our system. So when you put your defense in that position, they're going to try to make you pay in other ways, and they've got a great variety of formations. They get into unbalanced quads, diamond bunch, tight. There's multiplicity of this offense, so they make you prepare, and I respect it.
Last question here on the left, third row.
Answers a little bit, but just curious over the past 2 weeks, what have you learned about yourself? Splitting time between the two jobs, like where have you grown?
Well, I'm trying to grow every day. I think I gave that example earlier of compartmentalizing your time, is really important. So it's enormous for me of writing things down and making sure I accomplish those things. So sticking to that, and by doing that, you're gonna you're gonna hurt some people's feelings, not texting them back or not calling them back. And I look at it as every 10 seconds, every 20 seconds of conversations or text messages that ultimately adds up, and I might have 2 hours away from the priority at hand, and that's giving everything I can to this group and putting us in the best position to go play a great defensive game and win this. So, attempting to fight that urge or respond back, and having that important time, to devoting it the right way.
Thank you, Tosh. Appreciate the
Okay.
time.
All right, y'all have a good one. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Questions? Start right here with Zach.
Dan talked about the break that you guys had and just the ability to kind of get away from football for a few days. How much do you feel that benefited this team, and what do you think you guys learned from last year when you had so much time off and needed some time to get back and get in the swing of things?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely good to have some time off. I think just thinking about I think last year it felt like we kind of went in a fall camp again, kind of like every day, just going to practice. We had like a couple days off, not too many, but even when we come back, we're not going full speed. Like practice, we do a walkthrough, we might do like a short in practice. We're still doing stuff every day, working on what we felt we could have got better in the season, but just more strategize and more thought about, I think.
Second row, left, Eric.
Hey, Mateo. We just spoke with Tosh. I'm curious on what was your reaction, maybe some of the players in your room's reaction when he got the job, and then also what does it say about him that he's sticking it out and it means so much for him to be here throughout this?
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy for him. I'm pretty sure everybody else feel like that. It's um, at the end of the day, you wanna elevate, and becoming a head coach. That's something that's amazing. I mean, him staying and sticking it throughout, like I feel like I would have never thought he would have left just based off him. Like I feel like he's a ride or die kind of coach. So I don't think anybody was surprised by that. Just just thankful and just excited.
Stand on the left, third row.
I want to ask about Nasir Wyatt. He had a big play in the Washington game. We saw a little bit on the Ducks versus them, but just what's it like working with him? What's he like behind the scenes?
Yeah, I mean he's fun. The outside backer room. I'd say we're a pretty tight knit group in there. And it's one of our brothers. As far as on the field, he brings a lot. Just his athleticism. Definitely ain't not a lot of people like him in the country. The way he moves and just the way he can rush the passer and just cause like every time we put him in, he's causing havoc no matter what. So yeah.
Back right, Aaron.
feel like a main theme all year long, pretty much since spring, was improving, stopping the run game. And you guys have faced a lot of really great run offenses. But what makes JMU's run offense maybe a little bit more unique? And maybe what things are you doing to kind of focus in the role of stopping the run in your success on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean they have a pretty good back. Number three, he's really good. The quarterback can run too, so I think just both of them, and then even number nine, the other quarterback, he's a good runner too. And just kind of all that anybody can run the ball. They run the ball out of a lot of empty sets, um, but yeah, they just everybody can kind of run the ball and they're good at it, and they've shown that against other opponents, so pretty good.
On the left, Matt, fourth row.
Can you take us into just your experience working with Chris Hampton and what's been his impact defensively with this unit?
Yeah. I mean, for right now, since I've been here, he's definitely been heavily like with the back end safeties and corners. But he's been, everything works together. So, I think just tying in what the back end is doing with the front, and making it one cohesive defense, like we complement off each other. Um, and I think just the style of coaching, he's very passionate. I'd probably say he's one of our funniest coaches. But he gets his players to do what they need to do. So he's a great coach.
Anything else? Nope, we're good. Thanks, Mateo. Appreciate it.
Tickets have just nosedived this week. Went from 180 to now $100. Copy and tickets for the game.
Probably. Start selling like in the student sections, it's like family and friends tickets.
Oh, really?
Those are like $50. I think like student tickets are 30. Questions? Let's start with Matt back there while I figure out how this mic works.
What was your reaction to seeing Tosh take the job? And can you maybe just talk about the time spent with him and the development you've had with him and how he's made you a better player?
Yeah, first of all, Coach Lupoi getting that job is amazing because he's a great coach, and we all look up to him on this defense. And just throughout the years being with him, he taught me so much. He helped me improve my technique. He helped me improve in the pass rush game, and just overall, like he's just been really like a great mentor to me. Continue to just build a relationship with me, the whole defense, and we just appreciate him for that.
With Eric?
Tosh was just up here saying it didn't take long to prove to the team that this JMU team belongs just by watching the film. Kind of what stands out just as a first watch of this team?
Yeah, they play really hard and they play physical. They play like it's the last game they're gonna play, every game, and I respect that about them. They continue to play with relentless effort, and that's something that we see and we respect.
Right, Zach?
Dan talked about how valuable it was for you guys to get some time off, some time away from the program for just a few days. How was that beneficial for you, and what do you think you guys learned from last year and having so much time off?
Yeah, I think it was good. The plan that we have this year with Coach Lanning, it's been great. The time off that we had was great for us to just reset, physically get ready, and mentally be prepared for this upcoming challenges. And obviously, throughout this week, we were able to do a mock game. We were able to just get back into our groove so that we're ready to take this game to the next level, really.
In the back right, Aaron.
On a college football playoff bracket scheme kind of is a little bit unique in the fact that the first round games are all home games. What is the biggest advantage of having this first round game in Austin Stadium?
Yeah, I think it's going to be just the ability that we have with our fans, the crowd. We just are glad that we have a home game that the crowd, the atmosphere can help us out defensively. We know that it's going to be a challenge to hear, but we also know that it's going to be great for us to make them just mess up.
Front left, James.
What stands out about JMU's quarterback? Obviously, it's quite a dual threat.
Yeah, he's a great player. As far as we know, we continue to watch him. We continue to see a lot of his abilities to pass the ball, to run the ball. So up front, we're just gonna have to play sound football, make sure that we read our keys, and then obviously we're gonna have to stop the run first of all with this team.
Tatum, we're gonna go to Zoom. Max, your question?
Tatum, you guys lost some pieces along the defensive line last year to the NFL, obviously, but still an awesome group this year. Just tell me a little bit about that group and what you think makes you guys so special.
I think our connection up front, our communication up front is really a separator for us. I think that we always will have great competitors and great athletes up front here at Oregon. But the difference this year is really our connection, the ability for us to get the call, get it relayed to our teammates, and then just for all of us to have trust in one another to get the call and make sure that we're all on the right call and playing the defense.
On the left, Eric.
Back to Tosh briefly. Mateo said it didn't surprise anybody that that Tosh was gonna stay on and coach throughout the rest of the playoff run. But what does it say about him and his character that that's a decision he was so resolute in making, that he's kind of putting his focus on Oregon right now?
Yeah, I think that's great. Obviously, we know that Coach Lupoi has a lot of love and appreciation for us, and it just shows that he's here and he has unfinished business. At the end of the day, like, we started this thing together, and we're gonna finish this thing together.
Front left, James.
Understand Tosh obviously runs your room, but tell us a little bit about Cam Aragi and just what he brings to that room and helping coach you guys as well.
Yeah, Cam, he's really the man. He's the one that helps us so much. Cam continues to push us every day. He continues to stay up late. He continues to build PowerPoints, whatever we need for our success, he will do. And we just got a lot of appreciation for him and everything that he's done for us.
Fourth row on the left, Matt.
When Tosh was here, got hired, the school was known predominantly as an offensive first school. And I think over his time, over your time here, that narrative has changed. The defense has a ton of respect nationally now. How have you seen Tosh kind of make that transition internally here at Oregon?
I think it starts with just the culture that he's bringing. Relentless effort, ball excellence, and power of unit. Those three things we continue to harp on each week ever since I've been here. And those three things are the reason why we're able to have so much success on this defense. And it's because of Coach Lupoi, bringing his DNA traits and his culture along with Coach Lanning to this defense.
Anything else for Tatum? Awesome. Thank you, Tatum.
Thank you.
Bill? We'll start right here with Zach.
Dan talked a lot about how the time off was really valuable for you guys to be able to get a few days away from the program. How was that beneficial for you, and how do you feel this team has kind of gotten back into the swing of things?
I felt it was really beneficial to kind of just take a little bit of time, step away, like do some other things. Like I was able to go see my family for a little bit, um, and then it allowed us like that break, that time off, and then when we come back, we're ready to get back to work. So we had that growth period, and then now we're focused on JMU.
Back left, Olivia, then we'll go back right. Aaron.
Obviously, you weren't here last season for Oregon's loss to Ohio State in the CFP, but do you feel like that's been a driving factor or motivating factor for the team heading into this week?
I think it definitely has. Like they've gotten to the point where, like they're in the playoff, and then basically their first game, in the quarterfinals, they got knocked out. So it's just having the expectations about what we're expecting in the playoffs. Like these are the 12 best teams, so you got to bring it each week.
Go ahead, Aaron.
This season has been super historical for Oregon's defense, not just the secondary, but also up front too. How would you describe your guys' ability to work together as a whole defense in order to find success?
I think it just comes down to trust, communication. Like I'm good friends with a lot of the dudes on the defense. Like I trust them, that they're gonna do their job. They trust me that I'm gonna do my job. So when you're going like that, especially you're out there with your brothers, so you're just playing fast, flying around, like having fun.
Front left, James.
What stands out about their quarterback, and would you compare him to anybody you guys have played? Because you played a couple of mobile QBs this season, including in the last game.
He's definitely mobile. He can run. They got a lot of QB runs. He was the player, the award for their conference, right? Yeah. So he's definitely a good player. Got to watch out for him. He can like dual threat. So I think kind of lean a little more towards like what we experienced at Washington. Just be prepared for some of that stuff.
Second row, Eric.
So I was just curious on what your impressions of working with Chris for a year has been, Chris Hampton, and obviously nothing's been finalized, but if he is to be the next defensive coordinator, why would that be a good fit? Why is he ready?
I mean, he's been a D coordinator before. He's been at a few spots like Tulane, in Duke before that, but he's got a lot of energy to him. It's very fun to be around. He'll like kind of give you some shit or like talk back and forth, but someone that I think he's just a really good coach overall. He's able to like connect with the players, understand the player, and just run the defense.
Right here, front right, Zach.
You guys are obviously not in this for individual awards. You want the team success, but several of you guys have gotten the individual accolades with the AP All-American, you being one of them. What does that mean to you? I know that's not your ultimate goal, but it's not nothing.
I mean, it means a lot being on the list. Like it was definitely a goal, but right now, just still focus on the season.
Front left, James.
Kind of following up on Coach Hamp, just when you first transferred here, roughly a year ago, I think we saw you at bowl practice actually in Pasadena. What is the initial onset, like those first couple of weeks of just the learning process? Like tell us about him as a teacher of like when you're jumping into install when the team's amid bowl practice, even like what is he like as a teacher at the very beginning for a player coming into the program?
So for that bowl practice, I was trying to like kind of just stay in the back, let them do their thing. Like they're prepping for a game. I didn't want to interrupt them or anything. Just trying to learn a few keywords here and there. But after that season got done in January, like it took a few weeks working with Connor Boyd and with Hamp, just sitting down, going on the defense like a little bit at a time. Just really focus on like the terminology. Like there's a lot of terminology change when I got here from my previous program. And I think he's just really good at explaining and then just walking through step by step with the guys and then building how this coverage relates to this coverage and how you can just keep building.
Right, Zach?
The Caucasian collision unit kind of became a thing after the Washington game. Curious how sales for that shirt have been.
Been pretty good.
Front left, James.
Following on that, and I appreciate Zach for breaking the ice on it. Do you happen to know Dan's backstory, a story of him playing in college, and does he get grandfathered into the CCU?
I do not know his backstory.
So he broke his best friend's leg while playing.
Really?
Yeah. So
That's
does he get
awesome.
like grandfathered in? Because
Might have to get him a shirt.
Dylan, we're going to go to the Zoom. Tommy, Your question?
Yeah, you talked about some about Jamie's quarterback as a runner. What does he present as a passer?
Passer, he's able to kind of move the pocket a little bit. He can throw on the run. He can definitely hit guys deep. Like they got some good receivers, definitely pass threats, some vertical threats, and then we just got to be careful for the running back out of the backfield. So I mean, he's able to make all sorts of passes. Just got to be ready for him both on the ground and in the air.
Staying on Zoom, Max.
Dylan, this defense has faced a lot of different offenses this year. Really talented skill guys like USC or a ground and pound team like Iowa. How has that experience kind of prepared you guys for what's to come in the playoff?
I feel like we've experienced like some of the extremes, as you said, like Iowa, like heavy run team, got a really good O line. I'm pretty sure they're up for the O line award. I forget what the name of that is, but and then we're facing USC with their heavy pass threat, vertical threats. So I think we've experienced like both ends of the spectrum. So it's just getting dialed in on what this team is, what they specialize in, and areas we can focus on.
Anything else for Dylan? Nope, we're good. Thanks, Dylan.
Thank you.
All right, questions. Start right here with Zach. Lead off guy.
Last time we talked, we weren't sure that you'd get another game here inside Autzen. What's it like? I mean, what was it like, finally learning that that would actually happen, and how excited are you for it?
Yeah, I'm pumped, man. Like you said, I thought SC was probably the last game, and I was praying for that 5 spot, and we got it. So it's pretty cool to have this opportunity, and I'm enjoy it.
On the left, second row, Eric.
As someone who's been here for the whole Tosh experience, what's it like seeing him set to go somewhere else and kind of maybe reflect on what it's like been working with him for 3 or 4 years?
I'm excited for him. He deserves it. He works extremely hard, and does everything in his power to put us in a good situation. It's been cool to be here since day one with him and see myself develop and him develop as well. And I love him as a coach, so proud of him.
Front left, James.
Bryce, you guys have certainly steered into the FIBU mantra for the last couple of years, both collectively as a team, as a defense, maybe even personally. When the shoe is really on the other foot, and if there's any doubters out there, it's from a national perspective, it's very much about, does a second G6 team deserve to be in the playoff, and how worthy or not they are? And no one's really doubting you guys. What is the mental mindset when it's us against the world, but the world's on your side in this case?
Yeah, I think it's regardless whether the world's on your side or against you, that mindset is kind of for both. We don't care about the outside narrative besides it's inside our locker room, regardless of whether we're the underdog or the overdog. I think that's just the mindset. So regardless, like I said, it's just, everyone but us.
All right, Zach.
How valuable was that time off the past couple weeks and be able to get away from football for a little bit? And how do you think you guys handled that differently than you did, say, last year?
Yeah, I think it was super valuable. Obviously, you got to still prepare and work hard, get in the weight room. You can't let your lungs go too much, but there's something to be said for, getting a little break from each other. And then once you come back, everything is a little fresh and exciting, and everyone wants to work a little bit harder. So I think Coach Lanning and the staff planned it out perfectly and got us a good schedule. Because when we came back, everyone was juiced to be back. So that was fun.
On the left towards the back, Matt.
Over here, Bryce, you talked about coming in with Tosh. Can you explain how he changed the narrative around the defense at Oregon? Because prior to his or Dan's arrival, the school is known mostly for its production on the offensive side. There's been great defenses, but everyone associates offense with Oregon. That's not the case anymore. Everyone kind of respects and knows you guys play D here. How can you explain just how well Tosh has made that transformation for you guys?
Yeah, and I agree with you. Since I've been a Duck fan since I was really little, Oregon's always been known for offense and speed. And I think, once Coach Lanning and Tosh came over, we definitely changed the narrative to physicality and relentless effort on defense. And over the years, it's just progressively we've gotten better on the defensive side of the ball, which is cool to see. And yeah, it's just a testament to the culture they've, set here, and obviously the guys before. In 22 on that 22 team, and then obviously the guys that stuck around to be a part of that culture. So yeah, I know where defense is, someone to be known now at Oregon.
Back left, Joey.
Bryce, you've been at a lot of big environments, a lot of them at Autzen Stadium. You touched on the excitement to play there one more time. What do you anticipate a playoff environment to be like at Autzen Stadium?
Man, I know you remember the Ohio State game last year, Joey. That was a good one. We've had some good environments at Autzen, some great environments, as a matter of fact. But I'm hoping this one's gonna take the cake. I'm excited to see what Autzen does because it never disappoints.
Right here, Zach.
Ask Dylan this. I'll ask you too. What's it been like seeing the love for the Caucasian Collision Unit, and how have the sales for those shirts been?
Man, it was good, for the first couple days. There for a little bit. We actually got shut down. We won't go into depth on that. But yeah, it was cool to see the outside perspective, appreciate that and think it's pretty funny, especially all of our teammates, love it. All of our coaches love it. So especially get the love inside the building. As James said, FIBU. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, it's awesome.
Front left, James.
Following with that, because I hope you know the story on Dan that Dylan didn't know. Does Dan get grandfathered into the Caucasian Collision Unit? because of how he played as a college player? I think you know the story of him breaking his teammate slash best friend's leg.
Whoa, I've not heard that story. I mean, if that's the case, I'm gonna need video proof.
I don't know
If I get some video proof, then yeah, I mean, he's got to be in the unit. If you're breaking dudes' legs on the field, that's an automatic. So yeah, we'll get him a T-shirt.
In the middle, Tyson, second row.
Just from when he joined the team during bowl game practices last year, like how would you say like your friendship with Dylan has kind of evolved over the year from new guy to failed business partner
Yeah, it's certainly evolved. I definitely had a business partner and not one of my best friends on the team. He's an extremely hard worker, high character guy. He's actually got a pretty good sense of humor to him too. He's more quiet, walking around the facility. Once you get to know him, he's actually pretty dang funny. So, I appreciate the dude a lot, and our relationship has definitely grown.
Bryce, we're going to go to the Zoom. We have Tommy. Go ahead, Tommy.
Yeah, JMU's been getting mentioned for their running back number 3 and then their quarterback number 14 in the running game. What do you kind of see from their running back unit as a whole out there?
Yeah, they're good, man. They run behind their pads, good at breaking tackles. We're gonna have to tackle low and be physical. They got a solid O line too. Without the lower line, their running game wouldn't be as good as it is. So yeah, we just got to play physical ball. Starts up front with our D line, and I know they're gonna stud out. And then us backers doing our job. So I'm excited for the opportunity.
Anything else for Bryce? We're good. Thanks, Bryce. Appreciate it.
Hey, you guys.
Recording stopped.